Welcome back to the podcast. Today we've got Rob Matzkin on with us. You entrepreneurs are trying to raise money. Look, this is the podcast you want to listen to. All of you are saying, hey, I'm going to go out and do a fundraiser. You all text me, and how do you do it? Rob's going to tell you how to do it, and it's not easy. He's going to show you why and what you need to know before you go out there. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, Anthony. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, come on, all these entrepreneurs get on there and they're all texting me, Anthony, how do I raise funds? How do I raise funds? How do I raise funds? I'm like, look, it's not as easy. You got to have your act together before you go out there. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's so many different elements that goes to it, right? Everybody thinks, oh my God, I have this great idea. I put a deck together. I give you, and I go talk to people and people give me money. And all of a sudden, and that's what I need because I need to grow my business. It does not work like that. There's how are you going to find investors, right? There's a whole step and process to that, which has only got harder because it's just noisy for investors and how many decks they're looking at. How you present yourself, how you present your materials. Those are all nice to say, nice to do. What it really matters is, this. I mean, how many companies and how long have you been running companies for, Anthony? It's like results matter. Traction matters. Good ideas, it's, I don't want to say a thing of the past. Certainly good ideas aren't a thing of the past. But just being able to raise on that is a thing of the past, right? What we need is results. And just to go a little further on that, Silicon Valley Bank collapsed, right? And I think the world was already changing. But what really happened as a result of that was you have friends and family, which means people give you money that know you, right? Based on knowing you. Your pre-seed, which people will give you money because they like an idea. Seed, they'll give you money because they like an idea, they like you, and they like the traction that you have. And Series A is, well, they better like you and trust you. But up and to the right, we're lighting money on fire. We're going for it, right? But all the money went from pre-seed to seed. There is no pre-seed money. Most of the investors and all the money has gone into seed. People might call themselves pre-seed investors, but they're looking for seed-style results.
Well, and that means that you've got to prove out, right? You just showing up and going, this, smoke and mirrors, they're going to put you up against the wall, right? What I've noticed today is that every time we go to raise money, the groups are really a lot smarter than they ever have before. It's not just your Uncle Bob going, oh, that's an amazing idea. Now, these are investor groups who have been burned, guys who've lost it on multiple deals, and they're looking for you to bring, a pretty highly probable portfolio or idea to the surface. It's been vetted out already. They're not looking to go, they're not looking to have you work it out. They want to see either A, you've done this before and you can get me to the finish line, or B, you've got something a lot more than just an idea.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, just to further that, it's risk versus reward, right? So you need to lower their risk, right? And you need to increase their reward. And that's always been the case. So it's how do you lower the risk and how do you increase the reward? But, I was just having a conversation this morning and somebody was telling me they're getting 14% interest for just putting their money in the bank for a year in a CD. 14% guaranteed by a bank, risk-free.
Wow, that's actually pretty good.
That's really good, right?
Yeah.
They're actually in the UK, so it was slightly different, or they were getting a UK-based loan. But either way, you could get money from a bank now at 14%. So the incentives, it used to be when 0% interest, or 1% interest, you put your money away in a bank, you're not getting any return, right? But now, so you're competing with that. You're competing with other products. So your 5x return, they don't want it. 10x return, okay, but the risk better be pretty low. You better show that 100x return now and be able to keep the risk low. So you're also competing with other portfolio products for an angel investor's money, right? And the same thing, everybody's like, oh, VCs have the money. Let me tell you something. I've fundraised for a VC for years now. It is, if you think raising money for a startup is hard, raising money for a VC is hard, is a whole nother level. But here's the thing that nobody realizes with VCs. Where are they getting the money from? They're getting it from especially first, second, third funds, not fourth and fifth. Those, if you raise a fifth fund, you're kind of minted, but that's when you could go after sovereign funds, pension funds, real institutional money. But the majority of funds, the majority of capital and venture capital is from private individuals, right? It's from family office groups. It's from large angels. It's really what it is saying is, A VC is a money manager that specializes in investing in startup capital, and they're getting 20% of the returns of what they bring home and 2% a year of the money that's lent to them to manage their fund. But what does that mean? That means they're going out to really wealthy individuals and trying to compete for their portfolio money. Now, again, those wealthy individuals, they're getting 14% plus on their money, and now they're going to take a risk, right? So it's even harder. Now, but here's the other thing. If I really want to geek out with you, I don't know how much money or new money has ever really gone into the startup ecosystem. That's a bold statement, but think about it like this. New outside capital. What's happened is people invest, they see returns, they reinvest, they don't take it out, right? They keep it in that product portfolio, right?
That's right.
But when was the last time we've had a significant number of IPOs? Pre-COVID. Right there, I think at last I checked, there's 139 unicorns who have not gone IPO. That means any of the liquidity for the pension funds, for the VC funds, for the families has not been liquidated to reinvest. Right? So there's probably locked in there billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions that can't go back into the startup ecosystem. So those funds are locked up. So there's no liquidity at the top, and that pushes us away all the way down.
Rob, I just want to raise money for my idea. How am I going to do it, Rob? Tell me, Rob, how am I going to get from here? I got this great idea. Me and my guys, we've been in my basement for the last year putting this together, and we finally we broke it. Rob, how am I going to go raise money?
Show me. You got to show me results, right? It's not even show me a product, which is great. Show me clients. Show me people want to pay you. Show me people are paying you. But then you'll fall into the next trap. The whole game is a trap, right? You have to prove results. You have to be exceptional. You can't have an idea. You have to be exceptional, right? So you have to build a product, show the product's great, bring clients in, and then continue to bring clients in. It's hard. If you want an easy way to make money, do not start a company.
Well, go get a job. I mean, that's the deal. If you want to make money, the easy way, go get a job, right? I mean, you have one boss to worry about, and go do what he says, and you'll make some money. Would you make the kind of money break out? Nope. But look, if you thought that learning AI was tough, or you guys that are in the back offices that are out there really working hard on putting together an idea. Wait till you start getting to the fundraising, right? Today's fundraising world, like Rob said, is so much more complex than ever before, and you're competing with guys who've done this before, and you've got to be able to stand out from that group of individuals. Look, you got a great idea. Now they're gonna push you up against the fence and try it out, right? So a lot of that smoke and mirror stuff that you could get away with early on, just anything that said AI on it, you're getting 5 million on. Today
that lasted like 4 months. That lasted like 4 months. Yeah. But I'll tell you this, because I don't want to be all doom and gloom and pessimist and negativity, right? But it really is, and I think what we're both saying, it's really simple, is do the work and prove to people, lower their risk tolerance and show that you could execute, especially if you're a first-time founder.
So let's go through that. So look, I got the idea. I've got this. I want to be able to go stand out there. So let's go through. When you're coaching a founder, you're ready to go out there and build. Are you finding someone how are you getting to the marketplaces to be able to do the presentations to begin with? Where am I partnering up to do that?
So where are we finding investors to actually have the conversations? Is that the question?
Yep. Yeah. Who's bringing them to me?
So I think first of all, there's many different investment strategies, right? Of where you're going to find investors. Some people say join an accelerator program. Great. I'm not a huge fan. If you could get in the top tier, great. And if you could excel in the top tier, great. But doing a 500 startups or anything thereof, or a YC, always going to help your cause, right? But beyond that, what could you do right now today? You could purchase an outreach software. There's a few of them. There's Growbots. There's Apollo. There's quite a few, and you could reach out to investors via email. It's gotten much harder to do that. You could reach out to investors directly through LinkedIn. There's a few different tools that you could Google that have investor databases that you could purchase. Some are better than others. But really, it also comes down to, and everybody's going to hate me for this, comes down to networking. Who do you know, right? But the best piece of advice I could give you on this style thing is know who you are. And what do I mean by that? Know who you are and where you are. And what I mean by who is the company. Are you really at a friends and family stage, or are you at a pre-seed stage, or are you at a seed stage? Because I guarantee if you pretend you're at a seed stage, you might get further along in investor conversations and you'll have more exciting conversations sooner, but they're going to implode because you don't meet their thesis or their criteria.
Give me some more on that.
Yeah, it's really simple. It's like if you go to somebody and you're like, I'm raising $500,000. Well, their minimum check size is $2 million. And they'd be like, oh, I'll take $2 million. They'll be like, bullshit. You don't need that. It's not what you're raising. Don't lie to me. And the second you lie to an investor, they're going to be like, go away, right? Or you're going to get further along and you're going to make up some statistic for a seed investor, and it's not good enough or strong enough, and they're going to see through it. And they demand traction. Sorry, go ahead.
So let's work on that right. So look, before you even get to, I'm going to go stand in front of somebody. Let's talk about the pitch deck itself. Right. So we're looking at putting together enough information to sell them on. I've got where I fit in the marketplace.
Yeah. So let me also just talk about pitch decks, right? And I'll go even a reason I cut you off is the content matters, but it doesn't matter. What's the purpose of a pitch deck? If you're sending to somebody, well, the purpose of that pitch deck is to get the meeting. Right. And if you're in the first meeting, the purpose of going through the pitch deck, or the purpose of that meeting, is what? To get to the second meeting. Everybody in their pitch deck wants to throw the kitchen sink of information at an investor. Doesn't matter. Everything's an elevator pitch until it's like due diligence. You want to give them just enough that they're like, oh my God, I have a ton of questions. This is really interesting and exciting. And the other thing is, like, I was just on a call 2 hours ago. The guy's like, I'm going to go through a product demo with you. I want to go through my pitch deck with you. I'm like, honestly, I'm allergic to pitch decks. Just tell me what you're up to. Okay, great. And then I repeated it back to him. I'm like, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? He goes, no, but you just reinvented my business. I'm like, I happen to have a pretty good gift for it and a pretty good knack for it. It's kind of why I do what I do. But investors aren't stupid, and investors kind of could do the same things, or they probably wouldn't be investing, right? So they're going to be able to see and understand your business. Your job in a pitch deck, your job in a presentation is to make sure that they can connect the dots, right? I was speaking to a new client the other day, and I spoke to the two partners that run the company, and they're like, we need your services. We need help raising money. We've been at it 6 months and we're struggling. And a VC that we know, he recommend you speak to us, and we need help with our deck. I'm like, you don't really need help with your deck. You need help with everything else. And then the big boss man comes there, is gruff New Yorker. You know, we talk the same language. We're both from New York originally. And he's like, I got questions. I'm like, all right, you got questions. And then I'm like, listen, here's your business in a nutshell. You're struggling to articulate how great you are to investors, and you know the greatness that you have, yet they can't see it. And you're struggling to do that. And you're gonna, like, he has access, like this business, like he already has another business that he started years ago. They're cash cow, crushing it. The startup is even bigger. He needs to raise money. And the challenge they face, they can't actually, their monthly recurring revenue is low. Their growth potential is huge. They're talking to the biggest, they could open the doors to the biggest players and instantly turning them on. And they know it because they had the connections from the other business, right? That's millions of dollars of business, right? Yeah. But they can't articulate that, or they haven't articulated that properly to the investor pool. So they can't get it across. And it's really about communicating your potential so that investors see what you see, investors feel what you feel. So a pitch deck, it's about that story. It's about getting people to ask questions, not tell them information. Because if they ask it, they'll learn it. If you tell them, they'll just maybe digest it. Sorry,
Yeah.
I went on
No,
for
no,
a
no,
little
no.
bit.
I love it. Look. Speaking at them never gets them there. You got to get them in the mode of wanting to jump on. Right? They've got to see this as I can't miss this one. This is the one that's it's going to go. If they don't see it, I don't know that they'll ever get enough money to go reach in their pocket and hand you cash and go, look, I'm going to take a risk on you. So
Exactly.
we just got done with the deal where the software is phenomenal, right? It's awesome new software, AI driven, being able to do X, Y, and Z, and it was just a matter of we got the right player. In other words, it's a lot like selling a movie, right? Where all of a sudden you get the actors involved. Hey, I got Tom Cruise. Hey, I've got some A players in here, and it added some credibility. Well, these guys had done that. They've done a great job of getting some brands to work this out with some brands. They proved it with using some big clients, and all of a sudden now the investment goes, oh, if those guys are in there, if those guys are involved, maybe it makes some sense, right? Part of that is just creating some intrigue into it. Now, a lot of it still had there still was a sense of smoke and mirrors, right? I think these guys were still kind of half baked for where they're at. But have you seen that as well, where you get out there and you got to create the kind of team so that when you're walking in, they want to be part of that team?
Yeah, absolutely, right. So there's two different phases. There's phase one, which is I've been talking about, which is how do you get that first investor kind of over the line, and where do you find them? And then it's like, oh my God, you're 50% committed, you're 60% committed. Then it's downhill because then everybody else sees the signal that other investors are there, right? But it's sales and raising money. It's like dating, right? So I don't know if you guys know this. I think Anthony's very public with this, but Anthony has how many kids do you have? Seven?
I got a lot of kids. I got a lot of them.
You got a lot of them, right? So, but something tells me when you were younger, you're from Miami. You know what you're doing with.
I knew how to do it. Yeah, for sure. I know how to. For sure, sales and dating and fundraising are very similar.
And everybody wants the cute girl. Everybody wants the hot girl, but if you go up to the hot girl, good luck. You get the hot girl to come to you, you're golden, right? So it's why do boys have their toys and boys flex, right? Why do they have the watches and the Ferraris? They want the girls coming to them. Now, is it the right girl? That's a whole other conversation for another day. However, you're making a statement that you're a worthy match.
Rob. I have a few of those Rob girls.
I think we all have. I think we all have. But we don't need to digress down that rabbit hole. But the same lessons apply, right? We want to be attractive. And what are those things that the girls are looking for? They're looking for low risk, high stability, high reward, great lifestyle, right? So it's our job to do that. And we want to showcase that in our story, in our deck. But I'll just keep with the dating analogy. You get on a date, you get the girl to go out with you. If you're probing her for questions, you're probably in trouble. If she's really curious about you and she really wants to get to know you, and you're authentic and you're honest and you're genuine and you have great things to say and you're truthful, you're probably in a really good position. So the deck is going to set you up for that the investors are asking you questions, not on the hot seat, but they really want to get to know you. They really want to get to know your business. They want to get to understand it. And it's not about, there's a reason you probably talk to 100 investors and get a yes, because you want to find that match. It's not about convincing them of everything. It's about finding that match that they really love what you're doing and they want to invest in you, and just be authentic about that.
Well, the problem is you're never going to pick up a girl sitting on your couch, right? You're sitting on the couch and you're wondering why you're alone and lonely. You got to get your bottom out there, right? So you got to go and shave and get yourself cleaned up and put your nice shirt on, take a shower and smell good. That's the same thing that you got to do when you go out to investors. Now, finding the right places to go. Right? Do I go to church or do I go to a bar? Right? Do I go to one of those Miami nightclubs and bottle service? And is that the right spot to find the girl? Or is that the player girl who just loves the bling? Or am I going to find the girl in church? Right? Am I going to find a good, solid a match for me that, I'm going to raise my 7 kids with, right? Where are we going to find the girl who's going to, where are we going to find that investor, right? Because there's a lot of investor people out there that want to be in the game, but they don't have the money or ever have the ability to get you to where you want to go. So how do I start to find that right relationship as, the angel investment group or, a VC firm, or, am I looking for a family office? And how do I get those introductions? Right? Because it always made sense if a girl introduced me to another girl, I had instant credibility, right? Went out with Barbara's friend. Oh, Barbara. Oh, yeah. You got to go with Anthony. Oh my God. Done. I was like a layup, right?
There you go. No, it's perfect advice, right? And you brought up the whole other side. I'm thinking digital, and you're like, there's networking. The whole, if you're in a major tier 1 city, you should absolutely be at networking events. I'm a little tainted. I'm in Miami, and the Miami ecosystem for networking has gotten quite noisy. But if you're in New York, SF, or Austin, or travel to those places and go to the top tier conferences, I think they're great places to start the rabbit hole. They're also quite exhausting, Anthony. So maybe I've spent 3 years on the road networking, so maybe that's my own bias. But they're great places to start, especially if you have a weaker network. It's a great person to start. Shake hands, kiss some babies, but also dress the part. There's never, if you're in a suit and everybody else is in t-shirts and jeans, well, maybe SF, maybe not a suit, but dress a little bit nicer than everybody else is also a really good advice. Wear the nicest pair of shoes, be sharp, wear the right attire, but be sharp in that attire.
Look, it just adds one level of credibility, and in a marketplace where people it's so easy to stand out, and you don't have to be in a $2,000 suit, but look, being the one who puts a nice shirt on and shows up clean cut, it adds to the credibility. We just had a kid here who they walked out and they were like, yeah, I don't care what the kid's selling. I don't want to be partners with them. Right. They show up and you can smell the weed in the room and you're like, I got it. I appreciate that you're all young and doing what you're, but do I want to partner up with a kid who walks into a business meeting smoking like weed? Now, maybe he's a genius. Maybe the kid's a freaking genius. But the problem is you're going to take some some cash and you're going to put it at risk. And you're like, he showed up at a meeting,
is he going to be a steward of your money? And you're saying no.
Yeah.
You gotta look to gotta be the part. You gotta be trustworthy. People, like, this is Tony Robbins' quote, people buy from the people that they like, they know, and they trust. Do I like you? Do I get to know you? Do I trust you? I think that individual failed on all those points.
Yeah. So what are some other places? I've had some mentors who have been great for us to help build those relations or make those introductions, right? So people that, if you're not involved in it, if you're a young entrepreneur and you're looking to get involved, try to find yourself a mentor. Find someone who's already a few steps ahead of you, right? Finding a mentor that can introduce you to other mentors or other business founders, because truth is, other founders are probably another great way for you to raise capital, right? Guys who are sitting on top of a boatload of cash, who were an entrepreneur themselves. I mean, those are probably some of the best opportunities.
I think those are great opportunities, right? I have really great access that I'm part of a post-exited founder group that's quite tremendous, that I always, every time I'm raising, I go to them. But, the thing is, talk to your other founders, right? Like, when I was actively building, it was, honestly, I love being in WeWork because I was just around other founders, right? And other founders that are still building with you. They're like, oh, I spoke to Jim. He's not a good fit for me, but I think Jim will be a good fit for you. Let me introduce you to Jim, or he's looking at this. And, we're always trying to collaborate, right? And have your friends support you. Have it, you're not going to do this alone. You're not going to do this alone as a co-founder. Just side note, have you heard of the goal that all these AI founders have, that they want to be the first $1 billion solo founder?
All of them. It's a great, by the way, there will be one. Who's going to be that first one to break it out? Some of the guys, some of the stuff I'm seeing are some great ideas. Now, here's a question that I'm feeling. There's a lot of a rush right now, right? I feel like there's a lot of getting to market before the majors suck up, get your idea solved before they do, right? And there's a lot of it does seem like right now, you know, these guys with AI ideas or AI solves for a business component, right? Getting the marketplace before, you know, these major organizations suck up their ideas.
Yeah. So I would, I don't want to be negative, but I would gander that if you only have a year before a major organization probably thinks that this is a good idea to do on their own, I would question that. I think investors are going to question that. I think you're going to have a really rough time. Now, if you want to position yourself that, you know, are you familiar with the jet.com story?
Sure. Go ahead. Get in.
So I don't know all the details, especially to speak publicly on it, but basically the jet.com story was, I think the founder, let me see if I get this right. The founder founded like wag.com, right? And Bezos negotiated him really hard and put the screws to him. Basically left him a bad feeling. And he eventually sold his company to Bezos and hundreds of millions of dollars, but Bezos squeezed him and paid less than the founder thought. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to invent the Amazon killer. He went out and started jet.com and built it as an Amazon killer. But really what he was building was a 3,000 person organization. No, excuse me, 300 person, a 300 or 400 person organization that was primed and ready. They were doing like $3 billion, primed and ready for Walmart to take them over and acquire them for, I think, a few $1 billion, right? I think the details aren't perfect for me to be speaking out, but the point is,
Oh, they had like 100 million or 100,000 customers in their first week or something. They blew, yeah.
It was crazy, but Walmart didn't purchase them for their users. Walmart had all the users they need. They purchased them for their tech team. They instantly acquired the best e-commerce startup in the world for $3 billion so they could instantly jumpstart their e-commerce company and reinvent their e-commerce. And that's the only team that's in New York. Everything else, their e-commerce division is New York or Newark or New Jersey, but everybody else is in Bentonville. But they primed and positioned themselves because they knew Walmart would acquire them. So if you could go the jet.com way and be perfect acquisition, but if you think you're going to go quick and beat a big conglomerate to market and get there quick enough, I wouldn't put my time on that.
How many founders though are looking for that acquisition, right? Hey, if I can put this technology together, will they come pluck me up?
I hope a lot, right?
Yeah,
I think
it's
a great strategy.
Yeah, it's
right.
Great
But
strategy.
but also, you know, going back to the investor conversation, they'll pluck you up for 50 million, 100 million. Cool. But you need to be, investors will always ask you, what's your exit strategy? Is it IPO or is it acquisition? Oh, we want to get to raise a few $100 million and potentially be acquired or go IPO. Okay. Or it's, hey, we want to have a quick. We think we can have a quick hit for 50 million or 100 million. Cool. But certain that will work for certain investors and won't work for others, right? There's something called investor math. But bottom line is, without going too sideways on that, you need to have the right return for a portfolio. A fund manager, a VC, would rather you take 100, like a bet they'll pay off 1 in 100 odds, and get 1,000 times returns or 100 times returns, versus you taking 50% odds, like hits every other time it'll hit, and only producing 2x returns. They don't want it.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't mean anything to them. They
It's
can't
not big
have
enough for them to not big enough for them to jump into.
Well, not only that, like even I mean, I still to this day don't talk to one of the VCs that was a major investor in my company, because I got in an argument with them in a board meeting, and they were like, "Listen, we want you to do this idea." I go, "That's suicide. It's like a 10% chance of working out." They go, "We don't care. We want you to do that." We go, and this is me and my partner. We're going, "You're crazy. We didn't do it. We went for the sure bet and only produced 2 to 3x results for a few years, and they stopped advising this. They resigned from the board, and they're pissed at us. But that company's actually still alive now, thanks to my business partner. He's still running it, right? I'm no longer day to day or really have any say in it, and they're still doing well. But they're pissed. Why? Because it didn't do anything for their returns. Because they're an investor. They're not there for my interest. They're not there for the company's interest. They're there for their returns interest. So, and they're one of the most success. They had like 38 billion in returns over COVID, and they're one of the most successful VCs. And they're smart and they're great.
I had an investment group walk away from me. It just wasn't. Your margins are great. What you're doing is great, but look, for you, it's great. For us, it's just not worth the juice ain't worth the squeeze from what we're working on, right? They're just it was and it was hard to hear that. Like it was like in the middle of a week, and it was like I had payrolls right behind it. I was counting on them and I'm sitting at this table, and I'm looking at them like, you mean you're walking away right here? Yeah, that's it. We're done. I'm like, whoa, right? It was like I learned a lot on that day. That was about 25 years ago, sitting at the table looking at them going, with a payroll due in 4 days, and I was counting on them to make it. So it was a nice little shot in the way that we developed that organization. But it really, from that, a whole bunch of cool stuff broke out. So let's talk a little bit about. So now we look at all right, we've got the idea. Right now, we're ready to go to marketplace. We're going to fight for this money, right? Because it's hard to raise funds. We're going to get the meetings, set up relationships, talk to our friends, talk to our mentors. Now we're going to show up. I'm getting ready to go make my first pitch. What do I need to do before I walk in?
What do you need to do before you walk in to your first pitch?
Yeah,
I mean, you better. It's an interesting question. As far as getting yourself prepared, being prepared.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're walking. You look, like you said, a lot of guys want to walk in and vomit all over the room. Look at all this up. And it's not a structured conversation, right?
Well, yeah. So there's so many different ways to skin that question, right? As we said, be presentable, know your facts, know your figures. But here's the thing that I want you to take into that room is, because you're going to know your facts, you're going to know your figures, you're going to be dressed appropriately. You're not going to smell like weed. You're not going to smell like alcohol. You're going to be right. But you're going to get a question you're not going to know the answer to. Your gut's going to tell you bullshit. Tell the investor, that's a great question. I need to get back to you on it. Tell the investor, I don't know. The investor is going to give you advice. You're going to want to argue with them. Tell them, you know what? That's a really good point. Let me consider that. Investors want to see that you're coachable. They want to see that you take their input and you value their input.
Nothing better than when I'm sitting in front of a young man who's pitching me for something, and I can give them support. That's the kind of person I want to be involved with, right? That's the investment I want to make. I know that they're not going to go run rogue, and we're going to have a partnership in developing what's going to happen. But part of me wants to be part of the development of it, right? I mean, that's why I want to make the investment. I think that's why investors, they want to be part of saying, "Hey, I developed this I'm doing one right now with a construction technology. Look, I want to be part of being on the leading edge of construction tech." And it affects my current company, and it's an easy one to add on, and I can add. These are what I say. These young developers are the young stallions, right? They just need someone to help guide them down a path to be able to ride the stallion, right? Nothing but running wild. Hey, they can go run wild all they want, but my support for them is really being able to get the stallion to the race and win the race. Yep. Right. Yeah. Where, and so part of me as the investor wants that relationship with the people that I'm investing with.
It's exactly it, right? It's how do you get an investor from I to we? And the easiest way to do that is be authentic, be real, and be vulnerable. Like this whole thing of like, listen, you want to put on a good first impression, you want to get them on, like, you want to charm them, great, but they're going to be on your team for years. You're getting married to them. They're going to, like, all this bluster is going to, like, come out in the diligence process, right? The quicker you get to a no is the better off you are. So the more authentic you are to with them and them resonating with you, the better off you are.
Interesting. The so you've done a lot of startups, right? I mean, you've been
I have.
go back a little bit. Some of the had booze carriage. You've had a bunch of them. Go back and
Yep.
how did you really how did you become a technical founder from just a regular business founder?
So I've always been the business guy inside of tech, right? Now, I'm never the coder. You don't want me coding. Well, maybe now I'll still, even now with, GPT, I'll still pull my hair out and like get 80% of the way there or 90% of the way there and be like, how do I put this into production? And I'm like, let's have somebody else do it, right? But I just understand what we're doing. I understand how to build product. And honestly, I just did it. Richard Branson has a great quote: "Screw it, just do it."
Just do it. Literally, just do it.
Yeah.
The analysis paralysis kills more ideas than anything. And if there's some gift I have with young folks, like stop here. I was just in a meeting earlier today. We were talking about stop. They go, well, what about this? No. Here, just we'll do this. And if we're wrong, I'll find out faster. Right? Let's just go down the path.
So it leads me to, so the thing that I've been preaching recently, because I'm just sick of it, is nobody is testing. Everybody's smart enough to vision a future in their head and say that's the way it's going to go. Well, that's kind of prayer or manifestation, but that's not actually what you want to do in business. We want to go, okay, I think the likelihood of this is high, but let's go test that and validate that. And the more you could test and run the tests quickly, cheaply, and effectively, and get to a yes or no, so you could literally feel in the dark, because that's what you're doing, not guess where you're going, but feel in the dark and go, there's no door here. There's a door here. I'll go through this door. There's another door here. Because you're in the dark. Just because you think you know what the room is, you don't. Right? So how do you test and figure out what the room is? And that's the way you get your answers. So really, that I think is the biggest attribute that any startup founder is going to have today. And it's been the case for the last 20 years, by the way.
Well, so hold on. I think that could be a little cryptic for those that are new at this. So let's go back. When you mean feel around the dark, you mean take your product and start getting it out there, people using it to find out what's working, what's not working. Is that what you're meaning by that? Don't wait till it's perfect.
Well, I mean, if don't even wait till it's perfect. Don't even wait till you build it. What features do you need? You're guessing what features you need. I guarantee you 50% of those features that you build are absolutely wrong because you guess them, and unless you are the actual customer and have actually been the customer and know exactly what that customer needs, you're wrong. And I'm quite confident on that statement. So you need to go find a a customer. That could be a dev partner. That could be, right? And they could help you build it, but you need somebody's input, right? And you need to test that feature. Is this going to be useful or not? Even after you do it, there's so many different ways of testing things, and it's so broad. But I mean that in the sales function. I mean that in the marketing function. I mean that in the dev function. I mean that in product function. Everything needs to say, is this useful? Is this going to be used? Because half the products we invent or features we invent aren't used, aren't useful. And when we say minimal viable product, it means the littlest product that we could get our point across to prove that this works. Not our minimum dream, which is what everybody builds, right? So I mean that across the board, right? So when I go, who is my client? My client's going to be a 35-year-old male that works. No, let's go test. Let's go talk to some 35-year-old males that work in tech that do this, that brush their teeth with their left hand, and see if we could convince them to brush their teeth with their right hand, right? No, they're still going to brush their teeth with the left. Okay, that's a failure. And the quicker we could do that, then we'll get to the right one. And don't be afraid of no, get to yes. But get there by testing. And I want to invent. I'm smart enough to invent the future. I know what, even now, I'm telling you what the way it's going to go. I don't know. It's my opinion. But I'll save the joke. But in any case, I don't know, but I know if you test, you'll get there, right? I just know from my wisdom, from my experience.
So, how many guys are building models today on GPTs? I'm working with a group right now who I'm bringing this up because it happened right now. We're going through the GPTs are changing so fast that we literally have to we have to download them and work on a downloaded model. You can't work on a live model. The problem is that they keep changing so fast that the updates and changes are making the product not stable, right? Are you guys going through any of that stuff? Are you with any of the guys you're doing developing product with?
I mean, I'm not day to day with the developers, but I'm sure they're. So I'm not going to comment on that. But I mean, I'm sure most people are doing that right now.
Yeah. And we're watching this stuff. We're getting some huge breakthroughs, and the next day they'll come back, or a couple of days they'll come back, and it'll be a different format. I'm like, no, where'd that come from? Well,
But
they're
but 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 I'll tell you this: with even the public facing models, like there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there. But I think ChatGPT 5 is really an efficiency engine for OpenAI to save money because it doesn't want to actually. I'm like, go do this, and it's a big task, and it's like, let me clarify, let me clarify, let me
oh,
clarify,
oh,
let me clarify.
yeah.
And then it's like, and then it'll eventually go process, and it'll process a tenth of it. It's like, is this what you want? I'm like, do the whole thing,
Oh, Dad, come on! I've like when it cuts out, I'm like, I don't need another. And oh my God, I've been there. I've been there,
right?
Rob.
So, and that's
Yeah.
every time now. And four never did that, right? So I think the newer models are really built with cost efficiency in mind, and I don't think they're like. I think you have to like hack them with certain things to like. You don't need to be a prompt engineer anymore, but now you need to hack them to like make sure they give you all the processing that you're requiring.
Oh, come on! I don't need another sector. I don't need another, another sample. No, 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 no.
No.
Just complete it.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, I don't think we're talking about fundraising,
No.
but I think it goes with all the models. But the other thing you bring up models that really concerns me is a lot of these startups are building stuff on whatever system they're building it on. They don't actually own the data, and they don't actually own anything going through that LLM's pipes. And I don't know. So, okay, you don't know the data. Like, there's a company I work with, and I don't want to refer to who they are, but basically, they're at a point where they want to go consumer. I'm going, you go consumer, you're going to be a commodity business with a commodity LLM. Maybe you're 6 months ahead, maybe you're 2 years ahead, but eventually you go after consumers, you will be a commodity. Everybody will treat you the same as anybody else. Okay, you can make a brand, maybe, but that's really hard. You go after the B2B play, you could create a moat. Your moat isn't going to be your tech because again, that tech's going to be a commodity in AI, whether right. And so your moat is going to be your customers, and customers aren't going to switch. Remember, to get a customer to switch, it has to be something that has to be like I think the rule is like 10x better or an order of magnitude cheaper, right? So it needs to be an order of magnitude difference. So if you're going to do a land grab, don't do the grab on the tech, do the grab on the business. Because if you solidify businesses to work with you, they're not going to leave. And as long
Well,
as you
they're
keep
embe-
it, they're
they're embedded with you. What I
yeah.
say is get to their DNA, right? If you become their DNA, like we're working on software right now that's going to be just amazing for the construction world, and we'll own the DNA. And from that tech, the unfold for that for the unwind for all the next stuff that happens down pipe from that is just it really unlocks the
And
industry, the process, and
and when I read about what you're doing in construction, the thing that I loved about it, it's still hard. There's a reason construction has no technology, because I won't even get into any of the construction jokes. I grew up in construction, by the way. My family
no, but
business is
here
an
it's
architectural
about to,
background.
it's about to,
Yeah,
it's about to
right.
get stuff that's unbelievable.
And that's amazing, right? But it's perfect because now you're on the cutting edge of two different revolutions. You finally have the tech reinvention of an industry, and you have AI coming into it. So it's like the timing is if you could get construction to actually adopt you and use you, you're golden. And those individuals, those business owners, will not switch and they will not move from you, and you'll have your moat there. So everybody wants this technology moat, and I'll challenge you because you asked me a question earlier in the conversation. It was one of the first conversations you asked. But really, what it comes down to is where's your moat? And everybody wants to think that your moat is by moving fast and iterating your tech. I think the speed of AI is going to make that really hard and costly now. But if you can make your moat your clients, if you can make your moat your relationships, you're in a really good place.
Once you're in that DNA mode, to extract you from there is a whole blood. You have to do a whole blood change for the organization.
It's a nightmare. I've been on both sides of it.
Yeah, and that's always been the problem with. Look, AI is somewhere where we'll solve that later on, but for today, and look, you're essentially saying to people, I need to switch you from taxi drivers to Uber drivers. Once they become the Uber drivers, they're not going back to taxis. So it just making the shift. Once they're there, the brands are there. For us, I work more on, get the Tom Cruise, and then we'll make the rest of it work out. Right. Once again, I'll take it to the producers. I'll take it to the investment group. Look, I've got them on there. Get the clients, and that to us is the big clients with the big names. And go, look, we've got X, Y, and Z brands that are already working on it. We're going to show them right now my number one goal in construction is to be able to do ground up buildings. Restaurant brands that everybody goes to in under 4 weeks. Right. Build buildings in 4 weeks where we're not killing people, right? We're making them happen faster, smarter, better than ever before. The technologies, the problem has been up till now is just the human brain can only solve maybe 10 layers deep. It's just, there's too many moving parts to communicate with the team effectively. Today, we will be able to do things like be able to pay people. Imagine this. Imagine being able to pay people, subcontractors every day. Right. Imagine work, up until now, stuff that we're doing in the construction world.
So can I just give you can I use you as an example?
Yeah. Let's go.
So again, I grew up in construction, right?
Yeah.
And all my dad did was accounts payable.
Yeah.
That feature sounds really great.
Yeah.
I would challenge you. Nobody's going to use it.
I'm going to tell you right now, it starts why they're going to use it is they won't be able to, today. The problem they have in the industry is to get. Yeah, go ahead.
But just to finish my point, I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah.
Every GC's problem is cash flow. They are slow to pay, but they're slow to pay a sub, not because of their accountant being slow, because of the money in the bank. So how are they going to use it, right? So, maybe if you put a financial product automatically in there, which would be actually really cool, they could control the flow. Yeah. But yeah.
So right now, here's how the construction world works in payment application. First of all, we'll go through. I'll take bidding out of it, right? Look, the bidding process is a fucking lie. The whole thing about bidding 10. Here, I'll go down the path. Let's take 2 minutes to do that. Let's go down the path. If I build a hamburger brand nationwide, and let's call it a $3 million project, and I have, let's call it 150 line items. Right, so I have 150 line items of bid: electrical, plumbing, HVAC, tile, carpentry. Right, call it 150. For us, we get no less than 3 bids per line item. We want to win the bid, right? We're bidding against. So for us, right off the get go, we have $450,000. Right, let's say it costs each of those subs $1,000 a bid for us. Mm-hmm. Right now we have 150 line items. Call that $450,000 because we had 3 people bidding on each line item, and we haven't won the bid again yet. Now we're competing with 5 other contractors who bid that same project. Right now, the brands that we work for put us up against the fence for, here, even though we may not be the low bidder, we still went with the project of a relationship, but we still had to waste $450,000 times 5 different companies. Now, no one's won the project yet. Now we win the project. I now have to put in there my low cost providers because I got to make a profit on it. Now that whole process has us lie to each other. Number one, either the guy that $10, say I bid $10, you bid $9, he bid $7. If they gave it to me at $9, one of us was lying. Either the $10 guy was lying or the $7 guy was lying or I was lying to get the project. Now I got to go pick subcontractors who do the same thing to me to get the project, right? They tell me they have 5 electricians. They show up with 2 electricians and 3 hand puppets, right? And now I've got to try to maintain a schedule that I can't meet because of my manpower requirements. And now the whole business, from the bid process with the money I lost in bidding to the money I lost in my efficiency because I had to pick my low cost providers, all of that leads to a product that never gets delivered on time or at a quality level. Today, we're going to be able to do things that are going to change the way the industry happens. Oh, then to top it off, I have to go work for a month, and then somebody comes out and goes, let's see, you're about 17.5% complete. And, I put a pay application together. They submit to them. They have to come out and approve it. They look at it and go, yeah, approved. They submit that to get paid. It takes me 30 days later to get paid. Now I'm already on thin margins. Whatever a contractor says, hey, I should be making 18% on this project. They're not. I'm in the business. I've been doing it for 35 years. If you're making 5% across your entire career, you're really in good shape. I mean, that's probably the best you can expect. Really, they pretend like on this one you might make 10%, or some guys may walk around pounding their chest. But the truth is, the inefficiencies of the business cause you maybe margins are 5, maybe 8% if you're a great group. So then you're waiting for your money on top of that margin. Well, what's about to happen is that whole process is going to happen so fast, so different. We'll be able to at bid be able to do clarifications of numbers. Our ways of being able to buy material and unit pricing is about to dramatically change. We've just put together an estimated product that will be able to have how many screws we have on a job site. We'll be able to bulk buy products and go to bulk buying process and take all those costs and risk out of our subcontractors. We're going to give them schedules that go by 15-minute increments so that now they can look at actual manpower, what electrician 1, electrician 2, electrician 3 does on a daily basis. And as they do the work, it'll update their schedule and it'll know completion, percent complete, and be able to pay you for the work done that day, right? So cash flow becomes instant, right? That whole waiting another month or 2 months to get that dramatically changes. Now, when you're looking at a project going, I could either go work on project A over here that's got this deadbeat technology the way we used to do it, or I can go to B and be the Uber driver who literally gets paid at the end of his ride, right? By the way, I don't even have to know the streets anymore. Look at the difference between Uber and the old taxi guys. The old taxi guys, everybody come on New York taxis, and they had to know every street. Today, you just have to know how to drive. Well, now look, being that we're buying the products, we're going to deliver the material to you because we're bulk buying them in the beginning. You just got to show up with your tools, and you're going to know what you're doing. You're going to know what tools you need. You don't need to bring the whole here. I don't need you to bring your whole goddamn truck. I need here today. You're going to put those 17 J boxes on. You need your pipe bender, your this, and you'll know exactly what tools you need to be. That you can put it in a handbag and show up at your job site. So cost of carry, cost of, yeah.
Let me just interrupt you. So that is how you enroll people in a vision.
That's right.
What did you tell me? You didn't tell me really about how the product works. You told me about your vision.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So when it comes down to everything we've been talking about today, it's you didn't pitch me. You told me your vision. Your pitch deck's your vision. Your story's your vision. It's a new reality of what construction is going to look like in your world. And you got me related to your world.
That's right. And the pain that they go through on a day-to-day basis. For us, what's worked is we go to the brands, the biggest brands in the world, and say, look, it's painful for you to do construction. You can't rely on it's not a predictable delivery that happens. And today we're going to create a predictable delivery, not just for you as a brand and the products you need to build to be able to operate your business, but for the people who work for you. And we're going to make this, by the way, think about this. You're going to be green. The environmental nightmare that's caused by the inefficiencies of today's business, it's an environmental nightmare.
Yep.
What we're about to do is create this efficiency. So all of that comes into the game. And I think that's where entrepreneurs got to stand. When they're standing in front of them, look, I'm 20% faster. All that stuff's there. What I really want to speak to is the pain of the business.
Yep. Yep. And really, I mean, what if I could sum up what you're doing in a nutshell you're like a Gantt chart on steroids, or a Gantt chart that actually works. You're a
live. Yeah,
you're a live micromanaged, or not micro. Yeah, live micromanaged Gantt chart.
Yeah. Right. Imagine being a plumber and knowing that you show up at grid 5-7 or 5B on a job site, and all the parts and pieces you need are right here, and you're going to start at 9:17 in the morning, and you'll be done by 4:15 in the morning, and you'll do exactly these items. And when you do those items, here's how you'll check off and get paid. Just imagine having that clarity of vision. And if you can't, I fell down, I broke my hand, I can't do it. You can communicate to the team that much faster and the system will be able to do a workaround to manage that process. Now, what we work on today with the groups that we're working on is, look, that's where the puck's going. Look, Wayne Gretzky said, I never was a great skater. I always just knew where the puck was. I skated to where the puck was going. Right. So the people that got to be looking at what's happening with AI today in the construction world. Look, if you can't understand that we're going to be building buildings in days and hours, and the products and services that you deliver have got to be manageable and be able to be that efficient. So if it's product, if you're drywall or you sell nails, where does the product come from? How does it get from where it is to where it's going? And how can AI, understand that process? And how do you get if you want to be in that it's easy to jump into there if you have the system that can communicate to AI a predictable deliverable for the product to meet those micromanaged schedules. So I think there's where the game is for those of you that are looking for it. Where's my widget in the AI future?
No, I love it, but just to reiterate one thing, you're also solving a big problem that and an industry that you happen to be a subject matter expert in, and an industry that you happen to have deep connections in, and you could open up a lot of doors. And by the way, you know what the biggest misconception is, I think, about starting a company is, what's the average age of a founder?
Well, I was 30 when I started this one, and actually I was 29 when I started it. Right, I'm 57 today.
Wow, dude, you're looking good. What's your secret?
5 o'clock in the morning.
Was that the producer laughing at you?
Yeah, that's the producer. Hey, John's over there busting.
I'm agreeing with you.
All right. He plays too much. He's up playing games too much. We got to get him up at 5 a.m. every day. Get him to the gym and do what we do.
John, in post, make sure you increase the volume of your laughing at my joke.
Will do. All right. So listen, we talked a lot. I didn't really go on tangent today.
But I want to say one other thing to my point of the average age of a founder, though, right? Is, take a guess.
25.
Or excuse me, the average age of a successful founder.
Ooh. 50.
Yeah, it's somewhere around like 45 or something.
Yeah. I mean, look, it takes a little bit to.
But everybody has this misconception that it's this 21-year-old Zuckerberg starting Facebook in a garage and dropping out of school. It's not. It takes access. It takes wisdom. It takes network. It takes all these things. The people that I want to invest in, the people that I actually want to work with, it's actually the person that has that job already, that has the means, the access, the wisdom, that is probably somewhere 10, 20 years in their career, that hasn't quit their job yet, and is working on this project knowing that they want to get it further enough. Because what it really takes right now is time. And I just gave this advice to somebody else. It's like, listen, man, whether you go full all in right now, or you still have a job and you can pay your bills and still be doing this in a year from now, because this particular idea, it's not going anywhere. You just need to be doing this so you could have the time to develop out this product. You need time. So it's actually still having your day job, paying your bills, putting your roof over your head, not worrying about money, but being able to move this goalpost for the next year, and not sprinting, but running a marathon, making the right decision, not looking for daddy, who the investor, to come and give you a check just so you could do your dream, but you could sustain this over time. Those are the people that I like to work with. Those are the people that I like to invest in.
Well, listen, I know we can have a lot more conversations, Rob, and keep going down some cool paths for our audience. If people want to get involved with you or come join the Bond Summit, what's the best way for them to catch up with you?
Yeah, man, thanks. It's robmatzkin.com, robmatzkin at Gmail. You'll Google me, you'll find me. Rob Matzkin at LinkedIn and Insta.
Well, Jonathan will put all that down below. We'll get all your links down there, and we'll have you on some more. Look, Rob, this is great. I love this conversation. Look, I got goosebumps. Look, I always know I have a good, fun podcast with somebody when we, get in there and the goosebumps come out. So a lot of fun. Great having you on today. Thank you.
Hey, great being here. You made me wait like 6 months to be here. So,
That's right. We did a lot to get here. Hey, audience, Jonathan over here is begging me for a raise. The kid won't stop. I'm like, he's not getting a raise until we get 5,000 more subscribers. We get to 80,000 subscribers on YouTube. He gets a raise. You become that guy today. We noticed that 15% of you were subscribers and the rest of you guys hadn't subscribed yet. If you could take a second and do that now, the kid, Jonathan, say hi.
What's up?
He wants a raise. He's begging me all day. I'm not going to give him one until we get to 80,000 subscribers. So if you could do that for me right now, like and subscribe, it means the world to me, myself, the audience. And by the way, that kid Jonathan over there who's looking for a little raise. So thanks a lot for everything, for all you listening today. Thanks for being here.